Welcome to today's Automotive Fleet webinar, Unlocking Data-Driven Intelligence with Real-Life Success Stories, presented by Verizon Connect. I'm Christy Grimes, Senior Editor for Automotive Fleet, and I will be your moderator for today's event. We encourage you to ask questions during the webinar, and we will try to address them all, but if we don't get to yours, you will be contacted via email with a response after the event. I'm joined today by our speaker, Veronica Ng, a Product Marketing Manager for Verizon Connect. Veronica, welcome to our webinar. Tell us a little bit about your background and your experience with Fleet.
Hi, Christy. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be going through this webinar today with you. I'm working in product marketing with Verizon Connect. Before, I was working with Samsung Electronics. My background is international. However, I also have working experience in construction management. So I do come from the industry. And I'm really excited to be going over with you today some of the real life success stories of our Verizon Connect customers.
Awesome. Thank you, Veronica. I'm looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and get started. If you just want to give us a brief overview of what we're going to be learning today.
Absolutely. So I think that before we dive into today's agenda, I just wanted to recognize that a lot of the people who are listening in today probably are at different stages of implementing fleet management technology. Maybe it's their first time, or possibly they're looking to upgrade an existing solution that their business is using. But there's really one commonality, which is that if you're a fleet operator, you're most likely facing a range of challenges, whether that be optimizing vehicle performance, or you're trying to look at controlling fuel costs or ensuring driver safety. So balancing all these priorities are definitely very, very difficult. But in order to achieve maximum efficiency and productivity, you really can't work without the right data insights at this moment. So today, what I wanted to, go over with everybody was having the opportunity to discuss what exactly do we mean by a comprehensive fleet management platform? What is it? How can they help you? How do you choose the right one? Specifically, what's the list of attributes that you should be looking for in a good fleet management solution to understand what data you can capture, how it can help you in your day-to-day work, as well as share some of the real-life stories of fleets that have at least been using Verizon Connect and have been successful in driving very meaningful business impact for their work.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more. I think especially with people can get kind of data overload. So I think it's going to be awesome to learn about ways to kind of overcome that. So let's kick off with the basics. What is a comprehensive fleet manager platform, and how can it ease a fleet manager's job?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing when we think about a comprehensive fleet management system is that it gives you an end-to-end solution that really supports your fleet management objectives. So maybe you're looking at wanting to help reduce costs or promoting safety in your driving culture, trying to figure out, are your drivers exemplifying the good road driving behavior that you would want them to have when yourself or your safety manager isn't able to do those ride-alongs, or you're looking to boost the security of your assets. There's really an exponential amount of data that your fleet is generating at any given moment. And what a comprehensive fleet management system is able to do is give you that unified view, what we call like a 360 view of how your fleet is performing in all these different aspects, and the ability to really scale up based on the needs of your fleet as it changes over time. And when you're making these data-based insights, I guess a lot of the people in the audience may be wondering, well, why can't I use the spreadsheets that I'm using already? Why can't I use the logs that I've been using all along? If it ain't broke, why fix it? And that's a very valid point that we do need to recognize. But there is an element that a comprehensive fleet management platform is able to do, which is provide that real-time nature of the data for you. There's a lot of issues when it comes to time lag. When your competition and your customers are moving extremely fast, having that access to real-time data analytics right when you need it is really, really important. So let's say that you have a high-value asset. Maybe it's a trailer, a shipping container, or even a construction equipment, something that, could be a very expensive forklift, for example. When you have that access to real-time data like GPS asset tracking, you're able to know where your assets are at any given time. You're able to limit the time that you would possibly need to spend looking for lost or forgotten equipment and tools, and you know where your assets are right when you need them. And fleet management platforms are able to do that. You can leverage things like geofence alerts to create these virtual parameters. You can set up an instant alert to be able to get notified when assets are moved outside of approved areas or after hours. And those elements, those features, what it really enables you to do is improve the chances of asset recovery if anything, not what was to get stolen. And that's very different from saying like you're taking the manual route of jotting down notes. It's 3 p.m., you return to the office, you're logging it into your system, you're reviewing it, and then you find out what is the location of a specific equipment or asset. So that real-time nature of data is one of the very big benefits of a comprehensive fleet management platform. Another thing are the AI analytics. I think that right now, a lot of people kind of think of, AI, artificial intelligence. It seems like a buzzword that's really popping up everywhere. And the thing is that for Verizon Connect, we've been implementing this technology for years already. And with current trends, it's really nearly impossible for a human to be able to see and process every bit of data that comes in, especially when you have a very large fleet size or your fleet size increases over time and you're adding more drivers to your workforce. And what AI is able to do is to give you that leg up to meet that challenge. We have things like machine learning and AI where you're able to use that to recognize patterns that are hidden in the data that maybe you as a fleet manager don't know to ask that specific question, and you don't know to look for that information. And what does that really look like in real life? So, for example, when it comes to things like an AI dash cam, you can get alerts after a harsh driving incident occurs. You're able to identify the specific incident's date, the time. You can pull up the corresponding video footage. You can use that to create a driver coaching workflow. These are the things that you can have to use to anchor a safety manager-led conversation when you're having those driver safety coaching sessions. So, you may not be able to have that ride along, and you want to know, hey, is my driver behaving when it comes to tailgating incidents? Did he or she show an improvement in their driver behavior after that coaching session that I had with them? And these are things where, having a comprehensive fleet management platform, you are able to, proactively preempt those data-based insights that you may not anticipate having, but will be very, very helpful in your day-to-day work.
Awesome. It's really cool to see how far AI technology has come and just how much it can really ease fleet managers' jobs. So say I am shopping for a new fleet management platform. What features are a must and why?
Yeah, so I think that what you have here, you can think of it like a laundry list and just go down the list and check the boxes. But the way of looking at, what are some of the features? Why is it important? I would kind of look at it like, what are the core set of features that you need to have in a fleet management system? And what are the ones that really gives you that extra leg up and gives you that competitive advantage as a fleet manager? So when I think of the core set of technologies and features and the ability to tap into or add on certain features and really scale it up and down based off of what your business and your organization needs are. The first one is vehicle and asset tracking. So features that allow you to track the location and helps your fleet to take action immediately by seeing, okay, where are assets being used? How can I make a better decision about, one, reallocating unproductive equipment? How can I reduce unnecessary equipment rentals so that I'm not booking equipment when maybe I don't need it for this specific job. And when it's all said and done, what this allows you to do is that if you're bidding for jobs, you can put in much more competitive bids that can allow you to do the jobs even more effectively. So that's definitely one element that a good fleet management system should have. Another one is compliance management. So when you're managing a fleet, it definitely means complying with a lot of regulations. So being able to simplify compliance with DOT regulations, reducing the risk of non-compliance by easily tracking your hours of service is really, really important. When it comes to things like vehicle maintenance reminders and diagnostics, those are things where you want to be able to perform preventive maintenance so that you're proactively managing and avoiding unplanned downtime. And we see this a lot with the leading fleet management systems and software solutions where it gives you visibility into each vehicle. You're able to know the due date of the next service and any services that you will probably need to do, make sure that you're not overdue on it. And what that helps you to do is to make sure that all your vehicles that are on the road are maintained and serviced so that you're not really caught in a pinch with an out of maintenance truck being on the road, which could mean, either a lost job opportunity or maybe even lost man hours on a job. So that's another element that you will want to look for. Fuel consumption and vehicle idling is definitely another one where you want to be able to identify events of either inefficient fuel use and be able to drill it down to a specific vehicle or driver or route so that you can reduce engine idling and, either unauthorized vehicle use. Those are some of the key opportunities that our customers have been able to use to reduce fuel costs. So those are kind of what I would call are, some of the very essential and core features of a fleet management system. Some of the things that I think can really make it differentiated are, what you see on the lower right-hand side. So like driver monitoring tools. This may require you as a fleet manager to have additional hardware like a dash cam that's installed into your vehicles, or maybe even added software features on your fleet management system. But what this is that when your fleet grows and you have more drivers that require you to implement those manager-led coaching sessions, what we see a lot of fleet managers need to do is proactively train for safe driving behavior. So having a dash cam that just records video footage and in-cabin behavior doesn't really cut the bill. You want to be able to not only capture the moments before and after a specific accident or harsh driving event, you also want to be able to proactively train against unsafe driving behaviors that may not have necessarily resulted in an accident, but they are risky behaviors that you want to coach your drivers on. And that could be things like tailgating. It could be, cell phone usage while they're driving a vehicle. It could be elements of like distracted driving where they're turning and, having their eyes off of the road. Maybe they're distracted by a billboard or anything like that. So those are things that, we do see for fleet management systems are very helpful for safety managers too. They use these driver monitoring features to also help to reward positive driver behavior so that they could use that either in driver coaching sessions to show that this is a very good example of safe driving, and they can leverage that in a lot of the coaching materials that they want to have their training on. Another area is EV fleet management capabilities. So these are, for example, there's a lot of environmental benefits, I'm sure when it comes to reducing your carbon footprint, addressing climate change. But there's also a lot of tangible benefits, even for a fleet manager, when it comes to EV fleet management. So whether it is that maybe you want to meet certain emission reduction targets, or you're looking to improve fuel efficiency and reducing operational costs, or maybe you're a larger company and you have ESG corporate goals. But these are elements where if you're beginning your EV fleet journey, these fleet management systems may have something similar to like an EV suitability tool, where you're able to analyze the usage data from your current vehicles, determine, is implementing electric vehicles a good fit for my fleet? They would have a dashboard where you can, use that to gauge your fleet purchasing decisions. What's the expected fuel cost savings, my expected carbon reduction? For us specifically at Verizon Connect, we also offer an EV suitability tool. And tangibly speaking, when we studied a data set of 90,000 plus vehicles, what we were able to find is that a fleet can have an average estimate of $69,000 in cost savings per year in energy costs. So that's very, very meaningful. And these are things that, when you're looking for that fleet management system that gives you a leg up, you do want to be able to find those ones that, I'm at the beginning of my EV journey. Is it a good decision? Or maybe I've already have electric vehicles. So can I see my EV fleet data side by side, the rest of my fleet data, whether it be, on a live map? I can track details like the charging status, the battery level percentage, the location. I want to know my EV range and battery issues. Those are different features that are also very, very unique to a fleet management system as well.
Yeah, it sounds like there's it's like a several-fold benefit to this technology. You've got, from sustainability, like you mentioned, the ESG goals, and then you've got cost savings, and then you've got all of the, compliance management, which is very important, I'm learning. So why are, in today's environment of fleet management, why are comprehensive fleet management platforms crucial?
Yeah, and I think that, if you ask, like, why is it crucial for a modern fleet, I think that I will also ask, let's look at the challenges of what is the modern fleet. When you kind of look at, something that's very unique in the recent years, inflation is a key issue. The average inflation rate for the U.S. was 6.2% in 2022, and if you compare that to the first 2 decades of the century, it was actually below 3%. So it's undeniable that we are in this era of rising costs. And fleets are using technology to find new ways to control costs and generate revenue. Every year we put out a fleet technology trends report. I highly recommend the people who are listening in on the webinar, if you're not familiar with it, visit our website and take a look at the fleet technology trends report. But what you're able to see is that as a fleet manager, they do have a lot of challenges that they're trying to get more out of the existing resources that they're already limited in having. So they're trying to find new ways to control costs, trying to become more competitive. So how do you do that? One means of doing that is, can you save time? Can you save your office man hours by automating some of the tasks that does not require, your office and your staff to do? Are you able to reduce downtime, and specifically ones where your vehicle breaks down, your driver can take a new job? Can you extend your vehicle life as much as safely possible? These are some of the things that a fleet management platform is able to help with. Specifically, you want to think about how can you drive long-term cost savings and what's the ROI that you're able to reasonably materialize. And I think that what a fleet management platform is able to do is to try to be that important strategic investment that you're putting in money, time, and labor in implementing. So you do want to have one that you're able to drive long-term cost savings with and have a good return on investment on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think seeing some examples of ways that the technology is paying off can really help fleet managers see the cost savings and see why there is a return on investment. So, do you have any examples that you could share of where this has really paid off?
Yeah, so I think that what's something that is unique about some of the fleet managers and customers that we've had is that they probably start off with a very specific objective, but then because they're naturally balancing different priorities, different business needs, when their fleet grows, when their business grows, they're actually able to meet a variety of other goals that they may not have necessarily had on the onset. So there are elements around fleet efficiency, safe driving, proactive maintenance, being able to more accurately bill their customers, and also just having a very good customer experience for their business that they're trying to drive. But that's really interesting is that, as I go through some of the example case studies that I'll share, is that they are able to achieve, more than what they originally were looking for in a fleet management system.
Great. I think one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing with this is how the different kinds of fleet operations, like based on what the fleet actually does, why the different elements of fleet management programs are really valuable to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the first one that we can go over, the company was actually a wastewater management company called Blue Septic Tank Service. We were able to, speak with Ryan. He was an operations manager. He self-identified as a jack of all trades for the company. And what they were originally doing, what they previously had, was really a manual system of, written job tickets, multiple systems to either track trucks or assets and maintenance. And the unique problem that they were dealing with was that, not only was there a lot of wasted time due to the increased workload of, writing down these job tickets, tracking them down, inputting it into their system, but it was also causing a lot, and it was very prone to human error. So what was unique to Blue Septic Tank was that an important criteria for them is that they were looking for a simple, streamlined system that can help them to monitor fuel usage, because that for them was a very increasingly costly area of concern. The cost of fuel is going up. They're constantly trying to figure out a way to improve the time that was spent out on the roads with better tracking. They wanted a solution that was, that had in-depth reporting for fuel, but also data that they could use for billing and compliance so that they could get a better idea of just like where their trucks are going, when they're going, and get a better sense of security. So for them, it was really important that tracking devices are hardwired into the dashboard so that, if the case that you have a person, they didn't want something that can be easily manipulated. They actually shared that they had a service truck that was actually stolen. But once they were able to get on computers, they were able to very easily find their service truck and actually tell the police exactly where is that truck, where was it located, and be able to locate and recover that stolen truck, that stolen service truck within 24 hours. So what seemingly started as, how do we kind of have better fuel use monitoring? Actually, they were able to recover a lost asset. They were also customers that had an integrated video dash cam. So those are, a dash cam that allows you to record video footage of in-cabin behavior, but also the conditions on the road. So what they were dealing with in that regards was that they received what turned out to be a false complaint. But somebody had basically called their office, was complaining that somebody was cutting them off and actually had an inappropriate hand gesture. And that's something that really impacts your company's brand and reputation that cannot be easily quantified, right? Because it takes many years and many, many satisfied customers in order to build a good brand. So if something of that nature were to happen of an inappropriate driving hand gesture, you want to make sure that, you know, your people are courteous and that you're coaching towards that type of behavior. And it was very important for them that, you know, once they did have a dash cam installed, that they were able to verify that, you know, go back to the history of that truck's video footage and verify that that incident actually did not take place. And they were able to prove that that was a false complaint. So those are, you know, kind of the additional benefits of a comprehensive fleet management system that they were able to have by leveling up and having the integrated video dash cams where, you know, that's something of an added on benefit that they didn't originally anticipate.
Yeah. And so, you know, it sounds like having these streamlined systems not only helps to ease things, but it also can help to like prevent human error. And you touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think sometimes it can be tough for longtime fleet managers to trust technology and trust that it's crunching the numbers correctly. So what is your response to people who are concerned that there might still be errors with the technology?
Yeah, so I think that, you know, a lot of it is a comparison of the benefits, right? So in the case of, I think that you need to compare it with what is that status quo of your company right now. And when you are filling out work tickets, when you are dependent on these logs that you're then putting into a spreadsheet, at each step of the way, you're actually introducing a vulnerable point where people can have these errors of inputting the data. And what technology is able to do with a fleet management system is that you're able to gather that data, you're able to, you know, have it where you can review it and be able to use that to make database insights and to drive good action. So I think that what's really important is really comparing it to the status quo of what you're doing right now in your office, as well as what is that additional labor hour of that's necessary when you do it the manual way.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have a case study that you can share that kind of explains the benefits for like asset tracking?
Yeah, so I think that another one that we can go over, the name of it is Daco Paving. So for this company, they are located in Houston. I just wanted to spend some time going over the background of this company and what's unique about them, because it's interesting that they work with a lot with home builders that construct roads and bridges in new communities. So for Daco Paving, what you can see is really they're out building out new neighborhoods on raw land. So a lot of the work that they do takes place in remote environments, very isolated locations. So for them, it's very important to not only manage a distributed workforce, but also manage assets that you know are out in these rural and remote areas. So for Daco Paving, what they needed to know was, you know, how long was it that their crews have been using a specific piece of equipment, being able to get reminders on when to perform those routine maintenance work on the vehicles and equipment. They need to know specifically, you know, did the mechanic perform this work, have it all recorded on a fleet management platform, and then be able to use these records to provide information on equipment depreciation to their bonding agents and insurers. So this is something where, you know, for Daco Paving, being able to have those GPS tracking, revealing asset locations and their maintenance needs was very, very important for them to be those eyes on the road when you're not really able to be there as a supervisor, as a controller. Deco Paving also they also implemented AI dash cams in their fleet, and that also enabled them to record video footage of driver activity and provide alerts when they needed it. And that gave Deco that. Which is a company that has always prided itself on family culture and safety, that additional assurance of their employees doing the right thing, and being able to create that virtuous cycle where, not only are their drivers exemplifying good road behaviors when they're, working and on the job, but also what they mentioned is that it created this virtuous cycle where even their drivers were driving in such a good way that even their family noticed, right? That they're slowing down, they're taking their time, and that good driving behavior actually carried over to the personal lives of their drivers and making them better because of that, because of lesser distracted driving, not smoking while driving. So that's again another example of a customer being able to, on the onset, they were really looking for GPS tracking, revealing asset locations, but it also metamorphosized into having good driving behavior carry over to the daily lives of their drivers.
Yeah, I often hear fleet managers say safety isn't just a priority; it's our job. So it seems like this technology is kind of crucial in today's fleet culture to make the task of keeping drivers safe easier, both the fleet drivers and the other drivers on the road. So that's great. Do you have any examples that you can share on ways that fleet management systems can help with routing for fleet drivers and fleet tasks?
Yeah. So we had a customer called Apex Landscaping. They are a snow removal and landscaping service that's located in the Chicago area. What's interesting about Apex is that this is one of those customers where, they were founded in the early 1990s, and the company had grown exponentially from one truck to more than 100 trucks. And they have, 80 plus units of heavy equipment like loaders and plows. So for Apex Landscaping, being able to coordinate jobs for a vehicle fleet of that size is challenging. And they need to make sure that they have confidence of, when they schedule their team to show up on a specific time, that they're showing up at that time at the right location, maintaining that ideal customer experience that they're looking to deliver in a very competitive business. So when we spoke with Apex Landscaping and understood what exactly they were doing before, what was that status quo before, they were actually coordinating field crews that serviced more than 400 properties. And they were doing all of this scheduling and planning the routes on basically paper and whiteboard. I would actually be quite, mentally, shocked by, what exactly that paper and whiteboard will look like when you're scheduling servicing for 400 properties. So definitely a very laborious and mentally challenging process. So they were doing all this manually with the record keeping, and it was hampering really their productivity. And they mentioned that it affected the morale of their staff, because their staff had to write down how much time they were spending on each property. It was very frustrating for them. They had to check their books as well and make sure that they're maintaining those paper records accurately. So this for them was actually a rally call for digital transformation. What data can we unlock? How can we do this better and more efficiently? And to address some of these issues, when they were looking for a fleet management solution, what was important for Apex is to find one that allows for that real-time tracking, allows for route planning and reporting, being able to verify those employee timesheets so that they can accurately bill clients, because for the landscaping work that they were doing, they were billing clients by the hour. So being accurate with that. And, when we ask, after using Verizon Connect, just, just to quantify what is the impact on streamlining their operations, how much time are they able to save? They were able to share that, what a task that would originally take them 2 hours, they're not able to do in 5 minutes. And when you think about a work week, that's 10 hours a week. That's 520 hours potentially in a working year, right? So instead of being locked up in an office and, having to check where are things going, how is it moving, are they on the right track, you're now freeing up a lot of those man hours to be able to do other tasks that's important to the business. And again, it's that element of staying competitive and being able to deliver good, exceptional customer experiences consistently.
Yeah, I think it's great to see how this real-time tracking technology has evolved, especially for like plowing jobs. I think it just with just the asset tracking alone and the route tracking, I feel like could help lead to a return on investment. Just that part alone. What are some things you've gone over some of them, but what are some other things that fleet managers should take into consideration when they're shopping for a fleet management platform?
So there's a number of elements that you definitely want to be able to, essentially compare and contrast on when you're choosing a fleet management platform. The first thing that you want to potentially look at is pricing and ROI. So, the Fleet Technology Trend Survey that we do every single year has a lot of information on the return on investment of these types of technologies. And we drill it down into the specific technologies and what is that ROI that you can anticipate that some of the fleet managers have been able to materialize. 41% of them are able to achieve a positive ROI on a GPS tracking solution in less than 1 year. And that's very, very promising. So, that return on investment is extremely meaningful when you're thinking about the strategic investment on a fleet management platform. Another thing that you want to look at is ease of use and installation. So this is, how much time are you spending in learning this technology? How much time does it require you to either self-install or professionally install some of this, hardware, if it's a dash cam or an asset tracker that you want to be looking into. So those are some elements when it comes to just how easy is it to implement this technology in your business and in your organization. Another element are reporting capabilities. So this really depends on what type of data are you looking to track, how are you going to use those reports on fuel use, on idling time. So being able to see, do those reports fit the need of my business, and does it have the ability to grow? So as my business grows, will there be certain reports where maybe I'm not using it right now, but it is available in the platform, and those will be a very important resource for me to manage my business later on. So those are things that you also want to be on the lookout for. For the other one, like ability to integrate with existing technology, this is important when you're looking at, for example, does this fleet management platform have integrated partners? So besides the core features of the platform that they have right now, are there integrated partners for accounting or compliance or maybe even electric vehicles? Something that, as a fleet manager, I'm interested in potentially introducing later on. That ability to integrate with existing technology can also be very, very important in order to compare and contrast different providers. Another one is customer support. So, you don't want to have to call in and be on a very long wait time every single time you have a question. So when there are elements of self-remediation of a device, either to, understand, was this dash cam installed properly? Are there any, misalignment issues that are, creating a problem in picking up certain harsh driving events, instead of me having to, contact and track down a customer support representative, are there elements of self-remediation? Are there good customer training tutorials that I can leverage to also be able to implement this technology? I think that those are elements that you also want to be on the lookout for. And lastly, not to overlook this at all, is a track record of innovation. So you want a provider, a fleet management platform provider that is really forward-thinking and growing a lot of their R&D investments and leading the industry. And the reason why this is important is because as the fleet management platform, develops over time, you want features and enhancements that are done via easy over-the-air updates. And that means that, these are, enhancements that you get. You don't have to spend time to do an update, or you don't have to spend time to, learn a completely new feature, but it's something that, you're able to get as the platform and the features and the enhancements develop further.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are all invaluable features, especially the customer support when you've got fleet managers who are trying to learn this innovative technology. So, well, thank you. This has been very insightful. Let's go ahead and move into the Q&A portion. As a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below. So let's go ahead and get started with our first question. It says, I currently manage my fleet using a spreadsheet. I know that's not the most efficient way to do it, but technology like this feels overwhelming. What is the learning curve for using a system like this? And is it worth taking the time to make the switch?
Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting question. The learning curve is frankly dependent on your comfort level with fleet management system. So if you are completely new to fleet management systems, you haven't implemented anything before, that learning curve will look very different from one company that has already implemented something and they're looking to upgrade. So that does vary based off of the unique fleet manager, the unique company attributes that is looking to implement a platform. But I think, going back is that what can you do to kind of help you along that learning curve, right? So does that platform that you're comparing and contrasting with, do they have a good online library of support resources? Do they have on-demand training tutorials that I can leverage? Do they have a very solid customer support servicing that I can rely on? So those are elements that I would definitely think about. And with regards to the question about, is it worth the time to make a switch, I would kind of flip the question and think, can you afford not to catch up with technology? Because, in the fleet trends technology report that we do every year, when we ask, for a medium-sized fleet, and that's how we identify those that have between 50 to 499 vehicles, only 8% of them says that they don't use any technology. So if you think about it, 92% of them using a lot of the fleet management systems, it's no longer something that is unique to large and massive vehicle fleets or massive corporations. You need to be asking, what is the risk of falling behind on technology, either from, can I deliver an ideal customer experience? Will I stay competitive? And also, from a cost perspective, what am I not gaining in terms of cost cutting opportunities if I do not make the switch? So those are some of the questions that I would also urge you to think about when you're thinking about whether or not to make the switch and whether or not it's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, and I think that's really a great way to flip the question. That's and I the 92% is really shocking to me as well. But I think that's awesome, just the way that fleets are moving forward. So the next question that we got is, you talked about having access to maintenance, driver behavior, dash cam, and vehicle information all in one place. Can you explain how those data sources work together beyond not having to log into multiple systems? Like, how is it advantageous to have all of that data in a single platform?
Yeah. So I think that you can look at this in a number of ways. The first one, as you kind of alluded to, is the ease. So when you're combining multiple tools in one dashboard, you do have the ease of, a simple login. You don't have to maneuver between different places where you have information capture, for example, a spreadsheet here, a log over there. Maybe I have to go look at the whiteboard for some route planning. So there is this element of ease when you have all these different tools and features in one dashboard. Another thing is really the flexibility. So being able to remotely manage your fleet from a central digital hub and not be reliant on a specific computer in an office or being reliant on a specific piece of paper with the log. It's more scalable also for the other people in your office. Something interesting that Blue Septic was saying when we interviewed them is that, they said that I can run the business from anywhere. If we're going home at 5 o'clock in the evening and I want to know where all of our drivers are at because they're not in yet, they're able to do that from home with an app. And when they have emergency jobs, they're able to track all of their drivers. You don't have to do it in the office. So those are, some of the benefits of being able to have a comprehensive fleet management platform. Another thing is, that ability to scale up and down your fleet management solution based off of your needs. So when you have something like a dash cam and, you can decide, okay, like, yes, I want to have road facing dash cams for these vehicles or dual facing dash cam for these other vehicles because I want to be able to monitor and supervise the in-cabin behavior of my drivers. You're able to have these different added in features and these different data points really of what is, that driving behavior that you want to potentially coach on later on. And for something like this, when you think about data, is there room to grow? So not only are you looking at, for example, the distracted behavior right now at this given time, but is there the opportunity to have other data points or other new tags? For example, can you later detect seatbelt usage or going above a posted speed and having speeding behavior that's very prevalent amongst your fleet? Or later on, you want to be able, as you add on new drivers and you have a new language that you want to be able to have, for example, like Spanish for in-cabin prompts, do you have that flexibility? So there's a lot of different data that's not only right now, but also can you have those different enhancements later on as the needs of your fleet changes and grows. So those are the different benefits in thinking about, that ability to have all these different data sources and working together, and the ability to grow your needs as your needs kind of transform over time.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up question to that. When you are scaling your fleet management technology, like up or down, to have those other features, is that an easy process to do? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so when we look at our fleet management platform for Verizon Connect, it really depends on what you're scaling up and down. So for example, if you're looking to implement electric vehicles, you're kind of early in that EV journey. You can easily access the EV suitability tool that we have, so that really you can use that to analyze usage data from your current set of vehicles. You can determine whether EVs are a good fit for you and your fleet. It's a very very nice and easy to use dashboard where you can see your expected fuel cost savings, your expected carbon reduction. So those are things that does not require anything additional. Similar to that, the integrated video with dash cams, when it comes to other features, for example, being able to detect seatbelt usage or speeding, or being able to add new languages, like I was saying before, those are also very easy in terms of like over-the-air updates that are done to improve and enhance the feature. Those are things that once you decide, okay, yes, I do want to implement EVs, or yes, I do want to implement dash cams, that are very, that becomes a part of the platform that you're able to easily use and be able to access those features on.
That's great. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. So thank you for sharing all of these insights with us. This has been great. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks to everybody who tuned in and who submitted questions. If your question was not answered, we will be following up with you individually via email with a response. So we hope that you enjoyed today's webinar. I, again, want to thank Veronica and Verizon Connect for today's presentation. This webinar will be available on demand on the Automotive Fleet website at automotivefleet.com/webinars and at the Verizon Connect website at verizonconnect.com. So on behalf of the entire team here at Bobbitt and Automotive Fleet, I just want to thank you guys again for joining us, and we hope to see you for another webinar down the road, and have a great rest of your day.